a traveler who is visiting a mysterious land.
We made the puzzle first and then we made the story.
Mystic Pillars actually is a really well done game in terms of artistic endeavor. There was strong line works that was done for the characters.
We enriched the visuals, it's all in 4K.
The reverses fills across the map. So when that is doing, like your controller will vibrate from left to right.
Hi, I'm Gautam Dindakurti, the founder of Holy Cow Productions.
Hi, I'm Vinay Ramkrishna, co-founder at Holy Cow Productions.
Hi, my name is Jesselina Mary John. I work as an artist here at Holy Cow Productions.
Hello, I'm Kalkin. I'm a gameplay programmer in Holy Cow Productions
And you're watching
Games made in
India.
in IGN India.
So Holy Cow Productions came in existence in 2014. I always wanted to start something on my own, and I was working at Ubisoft in Barcelona for about 4 years. And post that in 2014, I thought it's time that I start my own studio, and I started Holy Cow Productions. So when I was starting to think of I should start a new company and in video games, sitting on a friend's terrace, and we were just throwing out names and be like, okay, what can be a good name for a video game company? And you know, Holy Cow is the expression for awesome, right? Like it's Holy Cow in the West, and then the cow is holy in India. So it felt like like a great combination, a pun in the name, which I'm a fan of puns as well, and it just felt like a right title for that time. In 2016, when we were very new, we got the top 20 Karnataka Startup Award, and then we've got a lot of festival features of Mystic Pillars. We had an award at one of these festivals as well for Mystic Pillars. For one of our titles, Bot Rods, we won the Pocket Gamer, the Big Indie Award as well. So when we wanted to do Mystic Pillars, in fact, it all started with a board game that we were looking at, and it's called Aliguli Mane in Kannada. It's also internationally known as Mankala. It's a wooden traditional Indian board game where it has some slots and you move seeds in these slots. So initial idea was when me and Vinay were talking, we were like, how do we bring this into the digital age? And it slowly turned out to be a new mechanic that we added. It's nothing like the board game at the end, but that was the source of the inspiration of how the idea of Mystic Pillars started.
Mystic Pillars was a pet project. We didn't have any plan set for Mystic Pillars when we started. So it was just me and Gautam creating the puzzles, and we took one of the Indian board games, Aliguli Mane, as the reference to make the game. Once we had the core mechanic in place, and once we saw that people started liking solving the puzzle, right? They enjoyed solving the puzzle. That's when we involved the entire team, the narrative, the artists, and they added the rich cultural part to Mystic Pillars, and whatever game you see now is due to that.
When they were originally doing it, was just like we were just given like there were some slots, there were some numbers, and there were some arrows, and that was all that the artist had to work with. So the first process was obviously like to make a lot of mock-ups. We even had like Egyptian theme then. We had like a space theme. We had like certain bits of like futuristic. All of those things were things that we concepted because like we don't know which one works the best. And then it slowly, that time itself, like there was this evolution that happened from like 2D like squares to like blocks, and then it became into pillars, and that's one of the evolution that was there in the initial process.
So when it comes to Mystic Pillars in like specific, we kind of worked reverse. We made the puzzle first and then we made the story. So that way we made sure like the stories being told in the perspective of gameplay and stuff like that. When we started developing Mystic Pillars, we had made like a system where like we can input like number of pillars and number of moves, and like our program will give out all the possible moves and all the possible scenarios. So we took that as a base and we developed like a puzzle like scenario. So that was really helpful like in developing like more levels and whatnot. And then when we started it, we just gave to like friends and families to test it and stuff like that. And then we went to all these like conferences like IGDC or like Bangalore Game Conference and stuff like that. So we went there, gave it to people and tested it and whatnot, and then input upon it. So that's the journey of like how well it's spaced out. But like then again, like once we released it on like iOS and PC and stuff like that, we still got player feedback that saying that, oh no, this level is hard, that level is hard and stuff like that. When we are releasing this remastered version, we tweaked that and we made sure like the difficulty curve is like easy enough for the player to finish all the levels and stuff.
So one of the challenges for Mystic Pillars was that this was our first game that we did completely in-house. We've always done collaborative projects at Holy Cow, but with Mystic Pillars, this was our first game where we're taking up everything related to the game. So a lot of the focus was on that, like how do we get the sound, music, the story, the art, programming, everything was on us, right? So I think that was one of our challenges in a way. The way we overcame it was like give it more time, like work on it as a team, like push each other and get there.
The narrative of Mystic Pillar starts with the player being a traveler who is visiting a mysterious land which is in ruins, which is in drought, and that's the Zampi kingdom which the traveler or the player is not aware, and you try to find out what has happened to that land and why is it barren and why these magical colossal pillars are blocking the water flow, and how the villagers or the people living there have moved out or like are in pretty bad shape, whoever is staying there. Once you start solving the puzzle, the pillars start falling down, and you see water flowing and the villages are flourishing, and you get to know why the pillars came into existence through the narrative. One thing what we have done as part of the narrative is try to blend with the puzzles. As you go solving the puzzles, you get a bit of the narrative through cutscenes, through the dialogues of the NPCs, and you get to understand what really happened over there, and how you are actually helping them get rid of the drought and flourish each and every village, which is part of the game.
Mystic Pillars was there on different platforms, and when we had an opportunity to put the game on PlayStation 5, we wanted to make some effort to change it to work with the hardware and work for the audience of PS5, right? So we went ahead and made a remastered version. We enriched the visuals, it's all in 4K, and a lot more effort on terms of how it works with the controllers and with the hardware itself, right? So that's been the big change, and we really wanted to make an effort and put it out there on the PlayStation 5. And it helped us because it got picked up by the PlayStation Plus catalog, and we're extremely excited about launching that.
So, Mystic Pillars actually is a really well done game in terms of artistic endeavor. When I took up the remastered version, it was mostly of like connecting some of the few loose threads that was there, as well as making sure like I just only strengthened whatever art direction was already set in place. The original game was actually made for mobile games, so obviously the screen is small. You don't need to show that much details in such a small screen. So when I had to do it, now we are porting it to PS5. So obviously more details had to be shown, more lore. So all of those things were one of the first things that I had to pick up. The art style, that was one of the aspects that we were doing, was that there was strong line works that was done for the characters, while the environments were more painterly, backgrounds were more subtled out. So that is the same thing that I tried continuing in whatever newer assets that we had made. So one of the more obvious examples of this, where these 2 points were carried on, was when I had to rework on the maps. The original maps had like more characters involved, more like make it feel more lively, more like people stay over there. So like there was a lot of subtle storytelling that was added, as well as keeping the same art style. The last thing that I had to mainly tackle was the UI. So because anyway we were going to like make the interface new for the PS5, we decided to a little bit revamp on the UI, because the UI did feel a little bit outdated. We wanted to go for a more minimal, more clean look that kind of went well with the game screens.
So like I said, like we have been porting this game like in most of the platforms and stuff. So that side we were pretty confident in like porting to PlayStation in specific. But then again, it has its own like caveat. Like for example, like we have to make use of the DualSense controller, which is not like a regular gamepad. It has more features built into it. So and then if you looked at like PS5 in specific, it has like 60 FPS, more than 60 FPS supports, 120 Hz supports and stuff like that. And since our base game was not meant for bigger screens, we only had like 1080p textures and stuff. So we made sure like all the textures that you see are 4K, and like all the input system supports the new devices and stuff like that. In the talk of like the DualSense device, it had this haptic feedback. So we were having fun with like how can we give feedback from the gameplay through the controller. So like if you see in our game, the reverses fills across the map. So when that is doing, like your controller will vibrate from left to right and stuff like that. And then when the level is ended, like we played with like some other vibration so that like they'll feel that pillar crumbling down, stuff like that. So yeah, it's been challenging like when it comes to like porting to PS5 in specific. But then again, like the PS5 support, like the community and the forum was like very helpful like in guiding us through and through.
I would say we've had a pretty good experience with releasing Mystic Pillars. Initially, it launched on the iOS in end of November 2019. Then we launched on Android and PC in 2020, and eventually on the Nintendo Switch in 2021. It's been received very well across all of these platforms. In terms of commercial success, I don't think I can call it one, but in terms of the critical feedback that we see, all the reviews on stores, we've got fairly positive. It's been 4 to 4.5 on 5. So we're very happy with how we get the feedback and how people have taken the game, which also led to us making the game on PlayStation 5. We made a remastered version just now, and that also has been received quite well. We've seen over 200,000 people download the game, and we're hopeful that we'll get more feedback from all of these players. Our goal has always been to be making our own games. PC console is a big focus for us always. Even on Android and iOS, we still made some games, but we tried to keep it on the premium side of things. The goal for us at Holy Cow is to be able to continue to make like unique games, put our own take on gameplay, have games reach the world. The Requital game is a big focus for us, and with the Sony India Hero project happening for us, that's our future focus. That's our main game that we're working on. The other games are smaller ones, but what we have currently is that we have a dedicated team working on Requital, and the others are working on a smaller title.
I would say my best advice is don't fall into this trap of like education. Oh yeah, I have to do this course, I have to do that course to get into the industry and stuff like that. I would say start messing around with it, like create your own game, create your own stuff, like learn on yourself. That's like a best bet, and then build your portfolio. Like I would say almost all the indie studios like appreciates whatever work we have done, in the sense of like, okay, you created this kind of a game, that kind of a game is good for you in that sense. So I would say build your portfolio, and your portfolio talks for you. You don't have to open your mouth at all.
Thank you everyone for watching this video.
Do check out our game Mystic Pillars Remastered on PlayStation 5, and
It's also available on the PlayStation Plus.
Make sure you
Subscribe to IGN India.